No need, boys.
The pressure on young men to look good is bigger than ever, and they're taking bigger risks too. A study by the University of Glamorgan has found evidence that
more trouble in terms of growth and bone growth.
21-year-old student Joe Binley spends all his spare time training in the gym. He pushes himself to the limit without using steroids.
It's a pretty structured plan. It's weights 7 times a week, a different body part each day, and during the summer months lead up to summer, incorporate quite a lot of cardio because I play sport through the summer as well.
But Joe knows his best could be even better. He admits he may end up using steroids too.
It's always going to be a consideration. You should question yourself 7 days a week. Where would you be if you were taking things? Because you are aware that other people will take things and are taking things around the environment, so you think, why not? But obviously there's lots of cons to doing that.
Youngsters can face huge pressure to use steroids. John started taking them when he was just 14.
Because I was such a tall lad, I didn't think I was big enough to carry my height. I wanted to get bigger, so I didn't look so skinny. When I started doing it, the feeling I had was phenomenal. The training I had was stronger. I felt better myself. Such a strong feeling inside. It's really hard to explain to people who doesn't take steroids how strong the feeling is and the buzz you get through training with taking steroids.
But like any other drug, there are side effects associated with steroid use. The emotional problems caused by steroid use can also have a serious effect on relationships.
Before I was taking steroids, I was a very happy-go-lucky person, very placid, calm. I didn't lose my temper very quickly. When I started taking steroids, my temper was horrendous. Aggression was phenomenal. I mean, if I got in an argument with somebody, I used to grip my teeth because I was in so much rage, so much aggression inside me. I just wanted to hit the life out of the person whoever upset me. I've had liver, kidney problems. I've had pains in my chest. But in my eyes, it's going to sound hard. It's been worth it because the feeling I get through my training.
John keeps his drug use hidden from those close to him.
It's not like heroin or cocaine. You don't have hits off it. It only happens when you train. It takes a couple of days to get into the system.
The fear is that the secrecy about steroids means young men aren't getting the full facts.
They could start developing breasts, they could have a shrinkage of the testes, and they could be impotent. They are side effects which are not unusual with the use of anabolic steroids. Acne and male pattern balding is also a regular feature. So there are these quite frightening side effects which no one would wish, and I'm sure it's not the intention of any of the people who start out on these drugs to end up with these problems.
But the shocking side effects of steroids are still not enough to put users off.
The side effects are very much down to the individual. Luckily, I'm not predisposed to many side effects at all. I have a little bit of insomnia. Occasionally I get some night sweating, and I do get a little bit of testicular shrinkage. But although that sounds quite serious, it's very reversible, mild, and it's dose dependent. And there are compounds that I can take that will reverse that quite happily and quite easily.
A lot of steroid users take a variety of other drugs, like the breast cancer drug tamoxifen, to counteract side effects. Most inject steroids rather than take them orally.
With taking tablets, the liver and kidney will affect any person taking them. you have to drink amounts of water to flush your body all the time. And over a long period of time, the toxins of the testosterone chemical reaction in your body builds up, and it affects your body all around.
Doctors say no fit person should take steroids, but most of the users we spoke to insist the damage caused to your body is no worse than smoking or drinking.
I tend not to go out that much. I don't drink, I don't smoke, so it's nothing major. You know, there's a lot of people who choose to do hardcore drugs. Some people like to binge drink, and some people like to go to the gym, keep fit, and if they want to, they go down the road of using steroids.
Old-school bodybuilders like David Thomas are concerned about the new generation of steroid users. He feels they know no boundaries.
People train me at my health club in fantastic condition. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't socialise heavy on the weekends, and if they do socialise, they're quite careful. But then you've got a group and a sector of individuals that also take steroids. Look body beautiful, fantastic, to be quite honest with you. They're pretty much well read, but then they think they're pretty much indestructible.
There's been a huge increase in demand for steroids on the black market. Many users are turning to the internet to buy drugs, but can they be sure what they're getting? OK, it's a week since we ordered the steroids online, and I've received a package through from Slovakia, so let's have a look, see what we've got inside. Right, I wasn't expecting this. This looks like a video box. And OK, we've got a bag. Doesn't look very professional. We've got glass bottles, some pink tablets, sachets and some other tablets, but there's absolutely no paperwork that's been sent through this, so I've no idea what is what relates to what I've ordered, and more importantly really, I've no idea how to use it safely. You know, I'm not doing anything wrong in terms of the law, but there's something about this whole transaction that just seems dodgy, really. There's no marking on any of this to tell us what it actually is. Oh, actually, Indian aromatherapy oils. That doesn't relate to anything that's on this order list. These sachets are actually out of date. So we have spent nearly £80 and I have no idea what we've bought. So I think the best thing we can do here is bag all this back up and send it off to the lab, see if they can tell us. The legal minefield surrounding steroids means they've been driven underground, and you can make a lot of money selling them. But you can make even more selling fakes.
A lot of people are not aware when they're using fakes, so they're adding a substance into their body that isn't even what they think it's going to do. It will not do what it says on the label, basically.
So what, you're talking about counterfeit steroids,
yes.
Then? Ogurdash provides help and support to drug users in the Bridgend area. It provides a needle exchange and prides itself on being a non-judgmental organisation that'll help anyone. Most people would assume that steroid use is not part of this whole setup, is that right?
No, it can be anything up to 50% of the people that we see here would be using steroids of some description.
And staff here are extremely worried about the quality of steroids being bought over the internet.
Some of the steroids that are around are actually only for animals. So, you know, all sorts of things can happen if you give an animal steroid to a human being. You're completely in the dark. You're putting something into your body, you've got absolutely no idea what the effect is going to be.
The current situation means there's no regulation of steroid use. The internet is often the only source of information accessible for the curious youngster. We've spoken to one man who acts as an expert on 2 bodybuilding websites. Dean says he gives out advice and information to anyone who asks for it.
I tend to hang around the steroid forums because that's where I feel I can do the most good. I can offer the most sensible advice. I have many years of practical experience with steroids that no GP has. Furthermore, I'm a medical student myself. I do feel that I am qualified, probably more than most GPs, to answer questions only relating to steroids and some other aspects of maybe multivitamins and supplementation.
Information on the internet can be hit and miss, but it's currently about the only place users can go to find out more about steroids.
I wouldn't do something which I didn't know what I was doing. You know, there's bodybuilding forums like Biohazard. It's a bodybuilding forum in general, which you can go onto the forum and ask people, about training, dieting, and bodybuilding in general. And if you choose to go down the road of talking about steroids, then you can get that help if you wanted, because there's pros who go on there, bodybuilders who compete amateur and pro level.
My advice to anyone under the age of 21, my strong advice would be do not consider steroids. You are not skeletally, sexually or mentally mature enough to consider taking, powerful steroid hormones. Having said that, if someone comes to me and says, I've already bought the steroids, I'm going to do it anyway, help me to do this safely, again, I'll reiterate my advice not to do it, but I'm always of the belief that education is better than ignorance, and I will try and help someone if that's the only path they're going to go down.
Well, we sent the steroids that we bought over the internet off to the lab to be tested, and I've now got the results back. So I've come back to the University of Glamorgan to show them to Professor Bruce Davis.
It's good news and bad news, I suppose. The first thing is that all of these ampoules contain testosterone, which is good. But the bad news is that 2 of them were presented in sachets with no names on them. Most of the pharmaceutical companies, when they send these drugs out for clinical use, would clearly mark the amount of drug on the outside of the container, and they would clearly mark their own company. So it would seem to me that 2 sachets, by definition, have been produced in an underground laboratory. Because they've been produced in an underground lab, they probably are not sterile. So the likelihood of putting a microbe into your muscle, which would produce a very serious bacterial infection, is quite high.
And so you would be concerned if someone had spent the £80 that we've spent and then went about injecting themselves with what we bought?
Very much so. On 2 of them, very concerned. The 2 in the unmarked sachets is unequivocally, cause for concern.
Well, of course, we wanted to speak to the government about what they're doing about the problem, and the Home Office wouldn't give us an interview, but they have issued us a statement. It says the government considers that the current measures and restrictions on availability of anabolic steroids are proportionate to the scale of the problem. However, together with the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs, the expert independent body that advises the government on drug matters, we continue to keep these matters under review. In response to that statement, Sian James, MP for Swansea East, has tabled questions to the Home Office asking what's being done to tackle the use and sale of anabolic steroids on the internet. She's also asking what's being done to warn youngsters of the dangers, but some feel the government's giving mixed messages.
Steroids are so safe that they shouldn't be illegal, but then apparently the government's saying they're not safe enough that they should be freely available to buy. So it would be nice if they could make up their mind one way or the other. Personally, I feel that they should be made fully legal and they should be available to buy from pharmacies.
The experts say we should perhaps take a more realistic approach too.
We must be careful that the drug doesn't go underground. And the only way to do that is to open it out a little bit and get these people should be able to access advice from experts. People who know the side effects, who can talk to them about the side effects, and in many instances prevent the side effects. And then perhaps we will get more response from these people.
And while image plays such an